still eating? Still eating? Not paying attention. Still eating?
Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, August 18th, 2015 City of Oldsmar City Council meeting to order. If you'll please rise for our invocation and our pledge that will be led by our City Attorney, Mr. Tom Trask.
Our Father in heaven, we seek blessings on the tasks before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We gather to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is best for the City of Oldsmar and our fellow citizens. This we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, thank you, and thank you for coming tonight. And if it smells like you walked into a barbecue restaurant, you have the Gross family in the back from Frankie's Patriot Barbecue up on Tarpon Springs Road to thank for that. They brought a thank you dinner to some of the people in the city, and it's great. If you ever get a chance to try it, go on up there and check it out. We're trying to get them to come to Oldsmar, and we're working to see if we can find them a spot, but that is the smell. And if we all kind of doze off in a little bit, it's their fault. So thank you, and once again, for coming. Tonight, our first item on the agenda is our Citizens Open Forum. It allows you to address the City Council. We only have a couple of rules: that you keep it to no more than 5 minutes, that you state your name and address clearly for the record, and you can speak towards items on the agenda, but if they are public hearing items, we ask that you hold those comments until such time as I ask for them. Having said that, anybody on this side of the room like to address the council? Seeing no one, this side of the room. Yes, Loretta.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Loretta White, 601 Shore Drive East. I'd just like to clarify a couple of things that I said at the last council meeting. I think was in the last one in July. I spoke about the painting on City Hall. Well, I didn't know until after the meeting was over that the City Council picked out the colors. So I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. That was not the intent. If I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry.
Keep your chong up here. That's all right.
So I'm sorry about that. If I hurt your feelings, I didn't mean to. And the second was I spoke about eminent domain. Well, first of all, eminent domain is not a dirty word. It's just a tool cities use sparingly and when they need to. But in the course of the conversation, there was somebody said on the dais something about it being in the charter. Well, it's not in the charter, and it wouldn't be for two reasons. First of all, I don't think the city would put it there. And secondly, if it was going to be in the charter, we'd have to vote for it. The citizens of Oldsmar changes the charter, not the council. And when I watched the council meeting that evening, it appeared to me that it wasn't clarified. I mean, we just kind of left it hanging there, so I just wanted to clarify that. So it's in ordinance form. It wasn't in the charter. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Abe? Yep.
Thank you, City Council. My name is Abel Fonte. I live at 510 Arlington Avenue East. A lot of you may not recognize me. Normally I'm in Browns, and it's hot, and I've delivered to every one of you, okay? But I'm not here tonight to talk about that. I know it's only down to 5 minutes, but there's a past that we've had. I'm coming here representing...
Can you state who you're with? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm representing Oldsmar Little League. I've talked to many. We've had a bad past. We've had many things go wrong. We've done things that we probably should have been doing, but at this point, we have a new board, okay? I am no longer on the board, but I have volunteered my time to be a liaison between the city and Oldsmar Little League because of some of the relationships I have with City Council and city employees. At this point, there needs to be communication. There needs to be more of a sense of community before there is any local government or any employment that we do, we are all neighbors, we're all fathers, we're all sons, we're daughters, mothers, right here in the community. We really need to get back to that, and I've seen that separation happen, okay? I would like, and the board of Oldsmar Little League would like to have a workshop, okay, to inform and educate city council and city employees what it takes to run a Little League, and educate and establish a good communication for here on out. There's no reasons why, you know, me and Mr. Haddock can't sit down and watch a game. You know, my son and his grandson play together. There's should be total happiness with this. You know, I've done some homework. I've talked to other Little Leagues. I have talked to other local governments, and you know what? What's happening here should not be happening at all. This is easy stuff, okay? I want to thank Bruce and also Lynn, okay, for being as lenient to the league as they have been, considering the past and what's been happening. This is not going to happen anymore. There's going to be total transparency, okay? We're going to see through everything. Everybody knows on this board what's going on, and you as well, because there is absolutely nothing to hide. And that's pretty much all I have.
Okay. We'll get with the city manager and see what steps he thinks, because we haven't been involved. You and I have talked, but see what might be able to do. I think it's great that the board has kind of revived itself. I know we had a bad spell about 2 years ago, and we had hoped that we had fixed it, but hopefully this time, you know, because it's about the kids, you know. But
It's totally about the kids.
it just seems sometimes that in the past that the adults, as is always, not always the case, but sometimes the case, sometimes are the ones that bring the problem. So hopefully.
Absolutely, and most importantly, like you said, it is about the kids, and you know, and I know this whole council is for that also. I mean, when we drive into Oldsmar, you know, we see it. I said it starts in parks,
Yeah.
okay, and really, truthfully, we got to keep it there. Let's go ahead and keep it going, and with the good communication and you know, working hand in hand, not just working but living. Okay. This is the way we're going to have to do this, and everybody's for it for Oldsmar Little League.
Sure. Let me see what the city manager thinks and Lynn, but Lynn's pretty much got his hands tied up for probably the next month and a half with the BMX track. So, yeah, he's got a hotel room over there, I think. So,
A tent.
They got a tent. So
A trailer.
let me see what the city manager thinks and he's been more involved with that, and see what we can do. We definitely want to try and do what we can for the kids.
Absolutely.
But it takes the cooperation of both. And
like I said, the most important thing is, like I said, I've gotten use agreements from other places, but really and truthfully, we got to get together. And the first thing we got to do is, I believe, is have a workshop and, you know, work, instead of me standing in front of you, you beside me. Mm-hmm. Let's look this over. Let's work on these things. What pitfalls, what's going on?
Sure.
That way you can see.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I say something, Mayor?
Sure.
Thank you, and we all agree with that. And I've noticed, I think all of us have noticed that the level of communication has been so much better in the past couple months, I think it is. But this is a funny story. Wednesday, we all are going to our conference, right? And I have to get there, and I have to get there. I am literally in my pajamas, my hair up, no makeup, and he knocks at my door with a package, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, and I sign for the package, and I shut it, and he goes, are you Linda Norris, who's on the city council? And I'm mortified.
I didn't recognize her. She didn't look anything like she does now, and I was like,
I'm like, and
You get a picture.
oh my God, she'd kill me.
I was mortified. I'm like, yes. And then he starts talking about Oldsmar Little League, and I listened for as long as I could, but I knew I had to get to the conference. So anyway, that was pretty funny. So.
Yeah, it was hilarious. You know? And I was like, oof. I said, I gotta go. And she's like, I gotta go too.
Awkward. Awkward.
Like, I felt kind of bad. I'm like, not a good time. But
So now whenever I open the door for a UPS man, I'm gonna make sure I look decent.
it's going to be me unless I'm on vacation. So
And you already
it's
see
okay.
me at my worst, so all good.
Like I said, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I know you'll be in touch soon. So
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abe. Anybody else on this side of the room? Yep. Tony?
Tony Gross, 711 Satin Leaf Avenue, Oldsmar. Tonight, Craig and I, as Oldsmar residents, want to invite you to 2 upcoming events. The first one is Remembering Florida's Fallen, and Craig is going to be passing out a flyer about both of these events. It's September the 21st at Oldsmar Public Library, and it's at 11 o'clock for the opening ceremony. That's a Monday. And the second event is the Gold Star Mothers and Families Day ceremony, and this is the 4th year, I think, we're hosting it at Oldsmar's Veterans Memorial Park, and that will be Sunday, September the 27th at 10 a.m. in the morning. And Craig and I would like to invite all of you to come out. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the support that we've gotten, the tents, the chairs, everything that through Leisure Services or Parks and Recreation. We're thankful that Oldsmar has supported us well in these past 4 years. And we remember the first ceremony was with Governor Scott, and we all got wet.
A little.
So this year we're going to be having the large tent, and I think that's been okayed,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
I think it's continued to get better every year, so.
Well, because of Oldsmar, and I'm just very thankful that I have a city community to support me. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room like to address the council? Seeing no one, will close the citizens forum. The next item on the agenda is the mayor's minute. I'll make it quick. Don't forget, back to school, just a reminder to enjoy the last few days of summer as Pinellas County Schools return on Monday, August 24th. Be extra alert as our roads will again be shared with school buses, school zone speed limits with their strictly enforced, and school crossing. And we have a lot of kids that walk to some of the schools, so definitely be aware of them. Get up an extra couple minutes early so you don't have to rush. Council meeting, our normal Tuesday, September 1st meeting is being changed to, this says Wednesday, September 3rd. Is that second?
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday the 3rd. I knew one of them. So Thursday, September 3rd, and that's because of a conflict with another agency in the Pinellas County. Our Florida League of Cities conference was this past week, and this is the first time, I think, in 10 years that all 5 council members and the city manager went. And it was, I can't speak for them, they can speak for themselves when they get a chance, but I think personally it was probably one of the best conferences on a lot of levels. The classes were really informative. It's where we get a chance to go and kind of not have to reinvent the wheel on a lot of things that the city's trying to work on. So I thought it was well done and well put together over in Orlando. Save the dates, free admission, RE Olds Park, Labor Day weekend, Friday, September 4th, 6 to 10, featuring the U.S. Stones, Saturday, September 5th, 6 to 10, featuring the Superstars, and fabulous fireworks afterwards. If you need more information, visit oldsmar.com. And once again, thanks to Craig and Tony for the thank you dinner tonight. That was very nice of you to do that. So I have nothing else. The next item on the agenda is the consent docket. We have 3 items. Approve the minutes of the Tuesday, July 7th, 2015 City Council meeting, approve payment to legal counsel, and approve the tentative agenda for the September 3rd meeting. Does anybody wish to pull anything? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the presentation of the City Council Manager Award, and Councilmember Norris is doing that.
Right there.
Oh. This is, I don't have a problem with this. Is that better?
It's not better. Yes, it is better. It is with great honor that I get to present this to these two people. And it's really one of the joys of this job that every, I guess, 4 months or 5 months, we get to pick somebody to receive this award. Now, when I read the bios, I learned, I mean, I've known you guys for so long, and I've learned things. So I want to read the whole bio. So you guys will enjoy this. So I'll start with Craig. Craig grew up with 6 brothers and sisters and 2 foster children on a large family farm in upstate New York, just outside of Corning, New York, not far from the beautiful Finger Lakes region where the famous New York wines are produced. He was raised to love fishing, hunting, and the great outdoors, and I know the good Lord too. Craig graduated from high school in '73 and joined the Air Force, the U.S. Air Force. He was medically discharged in 1974. He attended Elam Bible College in New York State and Eastern Mennonite University in Harrisburg, Virginia. In 1976, he married Antonia, Tony, Hanky. They had 2 children, Natalie, who resides in Las Vegas, and Corporal Frank R. Gross, who now resides in heaven. Food and the culinary arts have always been a passion with Craig. At 13, he started to work part-time in his uncle's restaurant, Tarantelli's. Oh, gosh, I'm batting 1,000 in this one so far. He eventually worked as a cook, a sous chef, an executive chef, a French cook in various restaurants from New York to Virginia, including the Hilton Hotel in New York and Denver. He joined Cisco in the mid-'80s, became a district sales manager, and retired from Cisco in 2008. After leaving Cisco, he worked as a sales consultant, working closely with chefs designing menus, controlling labor and food cost, and sourcing products for various recipes from around the world. After Corporal Frank Gross was killed in action, Chris needed to leave corporate America, so he decided to open a barbecue and name it after Frankie. That was a big decision to make after all, and as he would be leaving a secure job in an open business to open a business in an industry where 9 out of 10 restaurants fail after the first year in business. 2 years and 3 months later, Frankie's Patriot Barbecue is thriving. Frankie's has a 5-star rating with Google, 4.5 with TripAdvisor, and 4 with Yelp. During his spare time, Craig likes to golf, and every Monday he can be found on a fishing boat near John's Paths with his favorite fishing partner, Tony, his wife. Now, isn't that sweet? Yeah. Okay. Tony has been a resident of Oldsmar, Florida since 1998, when she and her family moved to the Manors of Forest Lake, where they still reside. Tony and her husband, Craig, have been married for 39 years. Wow. And 1.5 years, 39 and 1.5, so 39.5, okay. And are the parents of daughter Natalie, 32, who lives and works in Las Vegas. Tony loves the small town, closeness of her neighbors and friends, who also live in Oldsmar, one of the most livable cities in the state. When Tony and Craig's only son, U.S. Corporal Frank R. Gross, was killed in combat action on July 16, 2011, Tony resolved to honor Frank's life through the spirit of volunteerism. And for those of you that don't know, he was the first soldier in active duty, killed in active duty in the city of Oldsmar. And so he'll be Oldsmar's soldier, angel, warrior, looking over us forever. So, sensing that God had a greater purpose for her life, she left the work field and has been a volunteer at James A. Haley VA Hospital in Tampa for 3 years now in the spinal cord injury at the USO Day Room and Fisher House. She also is a USO volunteer and can be found at the USO at the Tampa International Airport every Friday night, and where Craig also serves up a barbecue meal to hungry military personnel and their families monthly. Tony is active in her church and is grateful for the continued support of Oldsmar's leadership and her community since Frank's transition to the higher ground. And I just thought these were both beautifully written. And on a personal note, I have really enjoyed my friendship with them because they're almost like big brother and big sister to me, and they give me a lot of advice and at the National Day of Prayer. And it doesn't matter what, I can have lunch with Tony. It doesn't matter what I need to talk about, and Tony will give me the best advice, and I love that. And a couple of years ago, I had the honor of attending the wreath-laying ceremony at Arlington, and the chaplain and Tony and Craig were there, and I just felt so honored. And I can tell you that in my whole life, I've had a few profound experiences that you'll never forget, experiences that are visceral, experiences that are so sacred that they'll be with you forever, and that day was one of them, and I really appreciate you inviting me to that. So without further ado, please come up and let me give you this well-deserved award, and also all the things that they do for the city of Oldsmar. That's a lot of bio, but everybody knows you guys. I know you just talked, but would you like to say a few words?
Just want to tell my favorite city, my favorite community. This is the longest we've lived in any city, and we'll be staying here forever. But I just want to thank everyone for supporting us.
I'm good. Well, we really are thankful, and but my bio is longer because I'm older than her. But this has been a great city, and Frankie grew up here. He played Little League baseball here, and he got his baseball scholarship to college. Basically, he was highly recognized. And one thing that's really cool is, he played at Cooperstown at the it's the American Youth Baseball Hall of Fame up there, where he was inducted when he was 13 years old. Wow. And we just found out that every Sunday they have an opening ceremony. Every Sunday they honor my son at Cooperstown and mention his name. And he's the only soldier that ever played up there that was killed in action. And so we're very honored. But if you guys get hungry during the day, just remember Frankie's Patriot Barbecue up in Tarpon Springs. We'd love to have you.
You're supposed to say that.
Yes, he can absolutely say that. He can absolutely say that.
Congratulations. Well deserved. Our next item is the presentation of the Employee Service Awards, and that will be done by our city manager, Mr. Bruce Haddock.
Thank you, Mayor. There are 4 employees receiving awards tonight, and the first award I'm happy to present to Mark Shuford. And why don't you introduce your guests you brought tonight?
Okay, this is my wife, Donna, and my granddaughter, Haley.
Glad y'all came tonight, too. This service award is in recognition for 15 years of service to the city of Oldsmar, presented to Mark Shuford, 2000 to 2015. There's a check that goes along with it, so I'll give you those. And always like to tell the audience and our viewers a little bit about the person receiving the award. Mark is a heavy equipment operator in the stormwater division. And first off, I want to say and also compliment you and your coworkers because, well, I've said this for years. Stormwater is always a big issue in Oldsmar, but it's been an even bigger issue in the last 6 weeks. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I was pretty sure that was the case, but it's really because of the work that you do year-round, you know, that we, I think, have fared very well given the weather events that we've had. And even just compared to some of our nearby neighbors, they've had it worse. So, you know, we can see the benefits of what you do, and just wanted to let you know we appreciate those efforts. And this last month and a half, we've really seen the payoff. But that's really not why we're here tonight. I just thought that was important to mention. We're here because you're getting your 15-year service award. That's an important milestone, and it does give us an opportunity to let you know we appreciate the work that you do. And I believe that when you started working here, you worked in streets, which of course is all part of public works. You started in streets, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And well, we know that was 15 years ago. And then that time, I think in the beginning, like you did more sidewalk work, right?
A lot of sidewalk.
Yeah.
You helped me one time.
Yeah, I wonder if you did that, because I was thinking that was probably, you've been here 15 years, that was probably about 14 and a half years ago or something. It was a while back. And, but we were replacing some sidewalk on Oakleaf Boulevard that day.
Mm-hmm. A lot of sidewalk, a lot of it.
Yeah, that was, I think it was after that I decided that when I spent a day with outside crew, I wasn't going to do that in the summer anymore.
At about lunchtime, he said, "Mark, I got to go." It was hot. It was hot.
But, you know, I learned something. I learned I didn't want to work in concrete that much, but, you know, it was fun. I always enjoyed doing that. And so anyway, just want to say congratulations. Thanks for your 15 years of service, and we're happy to give you the award tonight.
Thank you, Bruce.
Congratulations.
Way to go, Mark.
You get to drive my favorite piece of equipment, the Kaiser.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that. The second award this evening is presented to Bill Dennis, also for 15 years. It says William Dennis, but that's okay. I know it's for you. That's actually your name, isn't it?
Yes.
Service award in recognition for 15 years of service to the city of Oldsmar, presented to William Dennis, 2000 to 2015. Check goes along with that. You take that, Bill. And Bill works in information technology. It's part of the Administrative Services Department. And I usually don't do much research on these things, but Bill has a long title, and I did look it up. I believe it's Information Technology Systems Analyst?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. I mean, in and of itself, I mean, that's pretty good. So I can never remember that. Bill has worked in IT the 15 years that he's worked for the city of Oldsmar. And, you know, IT security is a very important aspect of any network operation. And because of that, I can't tell you anything more about what Bill does. But I'm happy we can recognize you tonight on your 15th anniversary with the city of Oldsmar, let you know we appreciate the work that you do and your contributions day in and day out. So congratulations and thank you. Okay.
I think I've given up. You gave up.
The next service award is presented to Charles Monette. They'd get that in there, but yeah, Charles Monette, I thought, I think I know who that is. Like Bill, we all know Chuck is really what maybe we ought to put on here. This service award is in recognition for 10 years of service to the city of Oldsmar, presented to Charles Monette, 2005 to 2015. You take that, Chuck. The check goes along with that. And Chuck is a water treatment plant operator at the reverse osmosis water treatment plant. And once again, I don't do any research on these things. But my recollection is, I could be wrong, but you may have gotten promoted recently. Is that true?
Yes, I just received my B license last month.
Well, congratulations on that also. Are you enjoying being up here?
Anytime. I still got to tell you a joke from the meeting from city council, or we had the employee meeting. Yeah, I was supposed to give you a joke. I forgot.
Now's the
Was
time.
that something that could be told here, or you got? Okay, that's I was thinking. Yeah, I wanted to check that out first, but you can. Next time I'm over at the plant, or occasionally, I know you still come into City Hall, but we'll catch up on that. So just started out. I'm trying to think. It was either utility maintenance or. And that what?
Distribution. No, distribution.
Sue didn't remember that correctly. She thought you started as a meter reader, but that's not really where you started.
No. It wasn't very long. A couple years for the maintenance, then switched over to meter reader for, I guess, 5 years. And then when they built the plant, switched to the plant with the help of Lisa.
And you're doing a fine job. But as we were running through, trying to get there a little quickly, so Chuck has spent all those 10 years doing something in utilities related to the water distribution system or water supply. And he started out doing maintenance work with the distribution and collection division, and then he became a meter reader and did that for about 5 years, I think you said. And then when we built the RO plant, you transferred to the plant, and of course, you have to go to school and take tests and a lot of other things to become a licensed operator.
Correct.
And you did all that as an employee because, of course, we didn't have a plant. We didn't have any licensed operators, did we?
Exactly.
So you're like in the inaugural class of our water plant operators. So I think that there wasn't anything extra put in the check as a result of that, but it's still something that you did and you accomplished. So we're all very proud of the water plant and the work that you do, and obviously it's a service that is essential to the well-being of the city. And we appreciate the work that you do day in and day out. You have quite a record of accomplishments here with the city of what you've been able to accomplish in 10 years, and I'm sure you've got a good future ahead and other things down the road as you continue to work to make Oldsmar a better place. I know that you spent a lot of time also, well, now you're at the plant, but over the years in customer relations, and you've always been a real asset to us out in the field as well. And occasionally, there might still be some calls you have to go to. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, just here and there.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm happy that we can recognize you on your 10th anniversary, let you know we appreciate the work that you do, and say thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Okay, our next award this evening is presented to Kerry Thomas. This service award is in recognition for 10 years of service to the city of Oldsmar, presented to Kerry Thomas, 2005 to 2015. There's a check go along with that, Kerry.
Thank you.
And do you want to bring your guest up tonight?
He's more than welcome to come up. I was going to have him take some pictures.
Okay. So Kerry is a lead facilities maintenance worker. That's your present job, as I recall.
That is correct.
Did you introduce your guest and I was not paying attention?
This is my significant other, William.
Okay. Glad you came, William. So I know that, I've been here 10 years, and I think you started working in the streets also, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And I was, you heard Mark talk about that day we were doing the sidewalk. It seems like you might have been on that crew as well. Do you remember that?
I don't think I was on that particular crew, but I remember handing you a jackhammer one time.
I remember that day also. And it wasn't that sidewalk thing because you weren't here when we did that sidewalk thing. That was a long time ago. So that's right. But now that you've kind of brought that back to mind, I'd kind of forgotten about it. But I believe, there's probably a reason I forgot about it. But the other thing that reconfirmed to what I had already learned is that I don't really like working with concrete. What the other thing I learned about that day in particular is I already knew I didn't like working with concrete that much in its liquid form. But I tell you, in the solid form, it's even worse sometimes.
And I remember the jackhammer kind of bouncing around on you a little bit.
Well, okay. But I lived to tell about it, or actually, I had put that completely out of my mind. And so anyway, I know you worked in streets, and of course, streets, they take care of all the sidewalks and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, did you ever work in parks? I don't remember.
No.
Okay. So you went from streets to facilities.
Yes.
How long have you been in facilities now?
4 years.
4 years. So facilities divisions, part of leisure services, there's only 5 people in facilities. So that would make you about 20% of the team, wouldn't it?
That is correct.
Yeah, I did that in my head. So you're 20% of the team. And they have a lot of responsibilities, as might be obvious or maybe not. They take care of all the city's buildings. And that's from major repairs or sometimes minor repairs. They oversee some contractors with things like the elevator contractor and the pest control contractor and the window washer contractor and things like that. Not only do they maintain all the buildings, they are responsible for cleaning all the buildings as well. And sometimes they bill things. And the most recent project was probably the Environmental Education Center at the Mobley Bayou Wilderness Preserve. So they have a fine record of accomplishments, and Kerry's a big part of that. Tonight we're here to recognize you on your 10th anniversary and to tell you we appreciate the work that you do and offer our congratulations on this milestone. So congratulations.
I appreciate it.
There's kind of an extra bonus tonight because you brought, I was thinking about my introduction about your work here that you brought, and we're going to talk about that for just a few minutes. Okay. And I was trying to figure out whether you are an artist or a craftsman, and I concluded that you're actually both. And because of the talents you have, not only here that you contribute to the city of Oldsmar, but I wanted to just take a few minutes to recognize your work. So why don't we move over here to this table? Well, you want to take a picture first? Sure. Okay. Okay. Now, I knew you were going to bring the house, which I've seen before. And you made all of these.
I handmade every single one of these.
So
except for this one. This I bought at a flea market in Mount Dora. This was my inspiration for this one. So I can't take credit for the design of this house, but this is what this became in my eyes. So this is probably from, I would say, 1910, 1920. And this is in its original form, and this is what I turned it into.
That's awesome.
And the roof does come off. I'll stay here till the end of the meeting if anyone would you like to see the inside. The roof comes off. There's 2 floors, and it's completely decorated inside with hardwood floors and a custom kitchen and real brass screens and windows, and it's pretty detailed.
Awesome.
But as soon as last night, the house was lacking a garage, so I finished it up last night after 2.5 months.
That's so cute.
The garage has a real concrete floor. The roof also comes off, and it is, you have to actually look inside. It is completely detailed. I can't tip it forward. The door's all open. It's took me 2.5 months to build this.
That's really cool.
Now, you'd actually thought about putting a concrete floor in that house, didn't you?
Yes.
You can't get away from the concrete. It's impressive.
I still like concrete. So these are all popsicle sticks, tongue depressors, and wooden coffee stir sticks.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
So,
One more.
Oh, that's the best one.
I love outhouses. I still want one in my backyard.
Can you get that one from that camera, Mike?
Real. The roof comes off also. You'll have to see it's fully loaded.
That one.
not completely loaded.
Not completely, but it is extremely detailed inside, and I handmade everything.
Can you turn it
Hey, turn it this way.
so the
Yep,
camera
there you
can
go.
get it?
Right there.
There you go.
Actually, if we look at the monitor, we can see where the camera is.
The birdhouse has real bird seed in it, and I handmade the magazines, which are inside the door.
That's so cool.
And there's Coleman lanterns, which are 1 inch tall, also sitting inside the structure. So if anybody wants to see it, I'll stay here till the end of the meeting.
Wow.
Well, because I'd seen some of your work before, I knew that you were very talented, and so I thought this was an opportunity to share that with others. I don't know, have you ever been in any shows?
No, I've never been to any shows, and I'd love to go. I had this refrigerator magnet here, which I did not buy, but I decided to make a full life model of this refrigerator magnet.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what I come up with.
Very cool. A triplex.
Well, thanks for bringing all of these, Kerry, tonight. And I just wanted to say later on down the road, when you become even more famous, if you need an agent, keep me in mind.
I certainly will, and I really appreciate, Bruce, that you gave me the invitation to bring my work in here. I do appreciate it, and I like doing it. And if anybody wants to look at it after the meeting tonight, you're more than welcome.
Congratulations, Kerry.
Kerry also made our Christmas tree light turner on her podium, so that turned out great.
Yeah.
Congratulations, everybody. Our next item on the agenda is the presentation of the Government Finance Officers Association Budget Award. Cindy? We just finished our budget meeting last week, first going over of it, and I got to tell you, we were just all at a conference in Orlando with a lot of other elected officials and get to talk to them about their budgets, and our budget's just a pinch under $28 million. And when you talk to other municipalities, both big and small, you know, at this time of year, everybody is talking about their budgets and the troubles that they're having and the cuts that they're having to make. I'm on the board of directors of the PSTA, and we're constantly reviewing the budgets. And I got to tell you, it just gives us much more appreciation for everything that you guys do to keep our city running. And even through the downturn in the economy, we really kept the city going, and it's because of you guys and Al. Why is Al not up here, by the way?
For sure, I'm good.
By the power invested in me, can I do that? I'll go ahead and read it. Government Finance Officers Association, Distinguished Budget Presentation Award presented to the City of Oldsmar 2013 and 2014. Congratulations. Tell us what that really means.
This just means that our budget document has, over the years, this is a goal that we'd had for several years, and then a couple years ago we decided we're just going to do it. So what we had to do is go through a pretty long checklist. It was, how many pages? About 4 or 5? I was thinking 10. 50?
Yeah.
Anyway, we bought a couple books about it, just kind of see what all we had to put in there. And over the course of 2 years, we added a lot of extra detail to our budget. We had an amazing team working on it. Barb even came back from retirement to come and help us, or come be with us today. But it does mean that our budget has passed pretty scrutinous, pretty intense review by 3 separate reviewers. And we got back a list of all the details and all their comments on the budget. This year, particularly for 14-15, has been the best yet. So it was much better than the first one, and I think the new budget that we just went over at the workshop will be even better. So
we know it.
Yeah. Yeah, our team includes Barb Schindler, and she recently retired in June. Yeah. Amy Ratliff, she does a lot of the number crunching. Garrett Zila does everything. Sandy does the capital asset part of it. Good. So, and together, and Al, of course, tells us all what to do. So, but we have an amazing team, and because of our team, we are able to do this. So, thank you.
Congratulations. Awesome, congratulations. I hear thunder. We'll try and pick up the pace. Our next item on the agenda is the presentation of the Pinellas Planning Council, Metropolitan Planning Organization, and Executive Director, new Executive Director of the MPO and the PPC, Whit Blanton, is here. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Whit Blanton, and 6 weeks on the job as the Pinellas Planning Council and Metropolitan Planning Organization Executive Director, and so thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Absolutely. I do have a short presentation. I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, I presented to the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce meeting and decided to put something together there, and I'll keep it fairly brief. But I think it's helpful just to sort of frame the direction of where we're going as a unified agency. And some context, this is not new to any of you all, but I feel obligated to put this up here. We're coming into an environment where the Pinellas Planning Council for years has overseen the countywide land use authority, countywide planning rules, to look at just making sure that there were consistent land use decisions being made in Pinellas County. And that organization has been around for 3 decades or so. The MPO is the agency that is responsible for taking federal transportation dollars that come back to Pinellas County from our gas taxes that we spend and allocating those to transportation priority projects throughout Pinellas County. The merger of that organization is, I think, something very distinctive. Distinctive for Pinellas County, distinctive for this region. There's not another agency in Florida that has a unified land use and transportation planning agency, and they're fairly rare around the country. Portland, Oregon is a real good example of that, and a few other major metropolitan regions. So I think it says something that we have that here in Pinellas County. This slide used to say that we're built out, and I just refuse to have that statement because I don't think Pinellas County is built out. We have a lot of development capacity, but it's about where that development goes in Pinellas County and what are the appropriate locations for it. And we do have a need to really continue to work on refining our transportation network, not just on the roadway side where it gets harder and harder to build wider roads and they're very expensive and they have impacts on neighborhoods and environmental resources. But as you know from your experience with trying to get funds for PSTA and other entities, that it's harder and harder to fund the transportation needs that we have. So we really have to look at how do we align our resources and how do we work together to really get the most out of our system. I thought that we should put together a little mission statement for our unified organization, and I didn't really look back to see if we had anything written down, so I just felt like we're here to align our resources around a compelling vision to improve our community and the region. And we do that through a number of different tools, and I wanted to emphasize that communications is a big part of the tools that we have. It's not just the regulatory land use, it's not just the capital funding for transportation, it's how we talk about what we're trying to do, how we work with partners, and how we advance the ball down the field. We just adopted a new countywide land use plan that significantly streamlined the countywide planning authority responsibility from what I would consider a very detailed zoning type map at the county level down from 36 land use categories to about 16 land use categories, and created a tiered system of very streamlined development review. We have a pretty convoluted process here in Pinellas County compared to what I experienced in Orange County. When you're looking for a land use amendment or a change, you have to have a two-stop method. You have to get it here in Oldsmar, and then you have to get approval from the countywide planning authority. We have removed some of that responsibility, significant amount of it, so a lot of the local land use decision-making stays here locally and we don't get involved in it. We have adopted a transit-oriented land use vision map that really came about as part of the development of the Green Light Plan a year or so ago, so I've kind of inherited this. But as I've sat down with my staff and my partners, it still makes a lot of sense. It recognizes where our centers are. Oldsmar is a major center for employment in the county, and it is a prime location for economic growth. And as we've mapped out these centers, we've really thought about how do we make them more connected? How do we make them more resilient? How do we ensure that we guide growth and development in the right locations? Because it's not appropriate to grow everywhere. This is a map that shows in the darker colored of blue and green where the population and employment growth is expected through the year 2040. And it's interesting that there's really only about 60 or so thousand more people projected here in Pinellas County. And I think that's probably a pretty conservative estimate. If we looked at the mid-county part of Pinellas and we think about areas where it's appropriate to have more density, we could probably grow by a few more thousand people. One of the challenges we have is that we have two transit networks that we've adopted because we had to adopt this right after the failure of the Green Light referendum. So one of the things that we will be working on moving forward is in partnership with PSTA on their community bus plan and their path forward is what are the right types of transit investments to make? How do we cut back service where it's not very efficient and look to those routes that are most productive? And I think we have a role as an agency in ensuring that our transfer points where people go from one bus to another or get off and try to get to their destination are places that are walkable, comfortable, safe, and convenient. And if it's appropriate, let's have housing and services around there. Too many of our PSTA transfer points are an abysmal location that isn't really well lighted, it's not safe, it's not convenient, it's not well connected. It just happens to be a piece of land that PSTA could acquire for that purpose. And so I think there's an opportunity there to make some improvements. We've also been working on what's called an Intelligent Transportation Systems Plan, and this map just shows that a number of those road corridors have synchronized traffic signals and other means of dynamic traffic response and control, but there's still a few to go, and a few of these need to be completed over the next several years, but there's a plan of action to make that happen. We have a very robust trail network here in Pinellas County. It should be the envy of the state, if not the region. But we have more to do, and so our plan identifies a number of bicycle and pedestrian connections throughout Pinellas County. There are still some roadway projects that we're working on. The completion of US 19 as an elevated expressway has been in the plan for I don't know how many decades. The Ulmerton Road widening is finally getting complete. The Gateway Express through Pinellas County, that construction will start next year by the Florida Department of Transportation. But we have some other projects that we're continuing to work on and look at, and while there aren't many opportunities for additional roadway capacity, there are a few projects that we still need to continue working on. A lot of these are county road projects these days. The state is about to get close to being done. This is a jumping off point where I talk a little bit about my goals for the next couple of months. And I put this picture out there because it's a beautiful picture. It's temporarily where I'm living over in Dunedin. But I look out there, there's a little bit of a blue sky mentality to this. I know we've got some hard work, but I think there's really an opportunity to do more to align our land use and transportation work. And what we're really trying to do is create a framework for decision making that builds consensus throughout the county on what are not only the local countywide issues, but the regional transportation investments that we need to make to ensure that we're a growing, robust area economically, and it's a great place to live and raise your family. And that means we do the planning in concert with our local government partners and with our state and other agencies. But then we also have to program those improvements with the federal funds that we get and the state resources to ensure that those dollars go further. And then we have to monitor and evaluate and see how our implementation tactics are moving forward. So just a little bit about what we're working with. In transportation, funding is really the significant driver of how we influence land use decisions, private sector investment. People want to be where there's good access. I think about the employees that I've had over my career here in this region, working at my job now or at my office that was in Tampa before when I was in private practice. And people want to be in the Gateway Mid-County area when they're starting out because it's the most accessible part of the region. They can get to downtown Tampa or West Shore in 20 minutes. They can get to downtown St. Pete in 10 minutes and then get to the beaches. The more accessibility we have in Pinellas County, the more we're going to attract those kinds of folks who want to live here and work here. But we have very tight budgets and a very complex environment for transportation projects. We have to work with a lot of different partners. Funding is tight because of the declining revenues we're getting from the gas tax at the national level. And so that means we're in a very competitive environment. So when you come to the MPO and try to get your project funded, we're increasingly having to deal with 20 or 30 projects that we're trying to fund with a very small pot of money. And what we're trying to foster is better, more strategic projects that leverage land use decisions, that serve as a catalyst or a transformative act where we're trying to transform development. And I think we have to be more judicious in the kinds of projects that we choose to advance. Our communities, our policymakers, we all need a good sense of what those outcomes are likely to be from our investments. What's the economic return? Is it good cost benefit? And the development community needs to have an expectation that there's a predictable process for them. So we've tried to align our plans to do that, and we've got a little bit more work to do. And the communities around Tampa Bay and in Pinellas County need to feel like their values are being respected as we make our transportation and land use decisions. So it's now been 6 weeks, and I started this presentation 2 weeks ago. But first, we have a very well-developed sense of community, and I think the presentations here tonight, tough act to follow, but that exemplifies that. There's a strong value for the importance of planning in all of our communities, and I see that here in Oldsmar. By the way, I first moved here, and I lived in Eastlake Woodlands back in 1989, so this whole corridor and area has changed a lot since then. We have really good interagency collaboration. FDOT is a really good partner, PSTA is a good partner, and the county is a good partner, so we have to continue to build on that. And I've inherited a very good staff that I'm pleased to call my own. But I think we struggle sometimes because we have a lack of a clear vision, and we have a lack of a coordinated, well-thought-out implementation strategy. What I mean by that is, as we move projects forward, they kind of come through in these silos. And I'm trying to break down those silos so that as we're making decisions about where to route our buses and invest in better bus service technology, for example, that we're also making good land use decisions so that we have a walkable, livable place where those buses are serving. And I think that strategic vision is really important. We're also missing the role of an independent champion to advance projects, to tell the good, positive stories that are happening here in Pinellas County, and then to hold up a mirror to Pinellas County and say, here's some areas where we're a little bit off track and we need to work, and we need to resolve these issues, and here's how we can work together to do it. So I'm not afraid to do that. I think the PPC MPO is the agency that can do that effectively. We are independent of Pinellas County. We have our own authority and our own rules and responsibilities. So I think we have to fill that void and step up and say, these are some things that we need to be working together on. A couple of good examples of that are the US 19 corridor. We need a vision for that corridor. We need to make sure that as Clearwater Clearwater and Largo are looking at redevelopment in that corridor, that makes sense with the transportation strategies we're making. And frankly, we have $1 billion of transportation investments still planned for the next 20 years in the US 19 corridor. And we really need to make sure that that's the smart investment for Pinellas County, and that $1 billion, maybe some of it couldn't be better used somewhere else. We'd like to think about that. Couple of things that we're working on, and I'll wrap up. We are initiating a communications plan and a branding strategy, because I don't want to be called the PPC/MPO for very long. We're about to hire a consultant to help us with that. So starting probably around January, you'll see that we'll have a new name, new logo, one business cards. Yeah, probably a new acronym, because it's transportation, right? We have to. And one website, not two, things like that. We've adopted the countywide plan, so we'll be working with our local government partners to explain what that means, how we can help, and how we can further some of the activities that are envisioned in that. And I've committed to doing a full evaluation of that plan in 18 months. How's it working? Is it really streamlining the process? Are we reducing the speed bumps where we want them reduced? And are we holding up the red flags where we need to hold them up? And technical assistance. And then from a grants perspective, I don't think our agency in the past has been as proactive as we could be, identifying grant opportunities and working with local governments to bring them back. We've sort of helped when local governments come to us and say, we'd like to go after this grant, but I think we can be more of a broker for that. And the last piece is just looking at our planning process. The criteria we use to advance transportation projects is a few decades old, and our communities are changing. So we really need to look at those criteria and how we determine how to advance projects. That's probably just the simplest aspect of that. And I talked about transportation to leverage land use decision-making. We don't use the transportation dollars that I can tell really as an incentive for the kinds of development activity that we really want to have, at least not at the MPO level. I think the county has done that in the past. And I know certain cities do that pretty aggressively. But I think we can bring that forward for things like complete streets, where we want to try and transform a street from maybe completely automobile-oriented to something that's more accommodating of different users, and then to do different corridor and area redevelopment plans. I'm calling a new initiative that we're starting Pinellas Spotlight, which is strategic planning and operations topics, but it's really to get our 13-member governing board. We're meeting on September 21st to tell us what are the 3 or 4 topics that they want us to focus our attention on for the year 2016, 2017, and have some defined outcomes, how we can work with county, municipalities, state DOT to really move the ball forward on 3 or 4 initiatives. I've mentioned the US 19 vision, the Gateway Area Master Plan is another one, enhancing beach access all up and down our coast, looking at the safety of vulnerable users, people who walk or bicycle. That's a big issue here in Pinellas County. We actually injure and kill pedestrians and bicyclists at a far greater rate than Hillsborough County, Orange County, Palm Beach County, and Broward County, and that's a problem. So maybe we need to look at that. And as we roll out our communications plan, this will be some of the things that we really focus our attention on and how we talk about it. So I've highlighted some of those key topics. I forgot I had a slide dealing with that, but you can see those over here. Regional transit connectivity is not an issue that's going to go away. But I think now what we'll do is work with FDOT, and we'll work with Hillsborough County to do what we can to make sure we've got the commitments in place so that the department, as it's ready to think about the 275 corridor and the TBX project, which is the toll lanes on I-275, that there is a transit project in there connecting Hillsborough County, Tampa, West Shore, and the Gateway area at a minimum. and I think we're ready to move that forward, and then we'll see what happens from there. So you can see those different items up there. The flooding that we've had over the last few weeks also speaks to the need for a transportation system that's resilient, that's adaptable to things like hurricanes and those kinds of issues. And while I think we've done a fairly good job on that, there's a lot more we can do to be prepared. So I just wanted to thank you for your time on the agenda today, and to introduce myself to you and say that this agency is really eager to work with the City of Oldsmar as a partner, and to help advance your interests and help advance our regional interests in this area. And if you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to take a few moments to try and answer them today, or you can follow up with me at my office at your convenience.
Yeah, I would like to schedule a meeting to come and meet you and kind of share ideas and vision. I've been involved with the transportation part of development for probably 30 years. And as you said, you know, the bridge between, you know, Hillsborough and Pinellas has been a battle, you know, and finally the PSTA and HART are finally going to get together and talk. And it's funny, you mentioned one thing. I just went today to have a meeting with the CEO of the PSTA. I'm the last person to do his review, and I wanted to talk to him about it. And one of the things that I said is, that's a concern to me, not so much the everyday operations, but it's one of the things that you touched on, which is the confidence that not only the taxpayers have, but the local elected officials and that the state officials have. I was directing that more towards the PSTA, and some of the black eyes that we have gotten as the PSTA over the most recent months, and you know, the media has a target on the PSTA, and you know, it's not uncommon. But the one thing that I asked him, and the answer was no, and you used the term tonight, is do we have a champion, and do we have somebody to talk about the good things that we do? We get so caught up in the day-to-day operations and, you know, and defending ourselves against the black eyes that the media is trying to do, whether justified or not, but do we have a champion? And I think that's important. I think it's important to regain the confidence of the people and the taxpayers. And as you said, the referendum failed miserably, and it really failed miserably in North County. And the North County always feels like that we're a donor taxpayer for a lot of things, whether it's education or it's safety or anything, transit. We're always the donor, and I don't think the people in North County are opposed to contributing towards a system, but they want to make sure that they're getting something out of it. And so, yeah, a champion to kind of share what the good things are that we're doing. I think I was talking to Bruce before the meeting started, and I think, you know, the meeting between the boards of the PSTA and HART is an epic move that has never happened in 30 years. And I mean, while they get caught up in the minutia of the day-to-day, to me, for the taxpayer, I think that's huge. You know, Absolutely. I always make the joke that I worked on a design, you know, for the Howard Franklin Bridge years and years and years ago, and the joke was that, you know, you're going to have to come from Hillsborough County and stop at the top, and you're going to have to come from Pinellas and stop at the top and get on each other's trains because they can't come to an agreement on what's going to work for the whole area. So I think it's really important. I use the example of, and we've talked transit before, of my brother living in Chicago, and I really don't care how I get from where I'm at to the bar he's having a beer at. You know, I don't care what county, what city, what municipality I go through, you know, and I don't think a lot of people here, especially with the tourists, the amount of tourists that we have. And that's one of the things that the PSTA is struggling with, is that, yes, tourism is up, you know, again, a record number, and we're continuing to bring people to Pinellas County, but we can't seem to move them efficiently from the airport to wherever they're going. And that, you know, that becomes a problem, especially when you have people that are used to traveling all over Europe and, you know, don't really travel a lot with cars. And, you know, they use mass transit and rails and buses. And so they come here and, you know, they got to get in a super shuttle and sit in traffic. And so, I mean, I think what you've done in 6 weeks is great. I mean, I think being able to grasp a vision of what the area needs is awesome, and I look forward to meeting with you.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Any other comments from?
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I think it's great that the two organizations were consolidated finally. It's been talked about for years and years, and good luck. I mean that sincerely.
I've had 2 interim staff directors for 4 years with this agency, and they've done a great job kind of just keeping the ball moving. And, you know, they've been sort of waiting to see when that was going to happen and who was going to get hired and how that was going to affect things. So fortunately, at least Sarah Ward at the MPO has been my client for almost 25 years, so we go back a good long way. I'm getting to know the rest of the staff much better.
Well, you're
and
coming in
great
after a
people.
lot of heavy lifting's been done to bring that together.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
thank
nice
you
to
for
walk
coming
in with
out,
an
though, and
adopted
making the
plan.
round.
Yeah, it was good. I was on the PPC right up to the time, and it kept saying, Mike kept saying, well, yeah, we've almost got the plan together. And they kept the chair on there because they didn't know, and it was another month. And
Right.
so, yeah, as you said, you got your hands full, but I think great things are ahead for the area for sure.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
That wraps up the City of Oldsmar. Next is the City Attorney.
Got a number of ordinances I'm going to read tonight. They're all second and final readings except for item number 15. Item number 8, second and final reading of ordinance 2015-06. I'll read it by title only. An ordinance of the City of Oldsmar amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city by amending the land use designation on that certain real property described as Lot 3 of Block 1, together with adjacent submerged lands of West Oldsmar Section 1. Parcel number 22, 28, 16, 96, 660, 001, 0030, containing approximately 0.61 acres of uplands and 1.19 acres of submerged lands, as further described in Exhibit A, from county land use designation of preservation to the city land use designation of preservation, and providing for an effective date. This is the second and final reading of ordinance 2015-06 by title only.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to address this item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. Does anybody, I need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Seidel?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2015-06, land use plan amendment from Preservation County to Preservation City at Block 1, Lot 3 of West Oldsmar Section Number 1, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 9, second and final reading and public hearing of ordinance 2015-07, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, rezoning certain real property described as Lot 3 of Block 1, together with adjacent submerged lands of West Oldsmar Section 1. Parcel number 22, 28, 16, 9660, 001, 0030, approximately 0.61 acres uplands and 1.19 acres submerged lands, as further described in Exhibit A, from the county zoning designation of agricultural estate residential to the city zoning designation of preservation, and providing for the effective date. That was a reading of ordinance 2015-07 by title only.
Again, this also is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to discuss this item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
No.
Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Seidel?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2015-07, rezoning from agricultural estate county to preservation city at Block 1, Lot 3 of West Oldsmar Section Number 1, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 10, second and final reading and public hearing of ordinance 2015-08, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city by amending the land use designation on that certain real property described as lots 18, 19, and 20 of Block 9 of West Oldsmar Section 1, parcel number 22, 28, 16, 9660-009, 01-80, containing approximately 0.69 acres, as further described in Exhibit A, from county land use designations of residential low and preservation to the city land use designation of residential urban and preservation, and providing for an effective date. That was a reading of ordinance 2015-08 by title only.
This again is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to address this item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor
Aye.
Beavis? Second and final reading of ordinance 2015-08, land use plan amendment from residential low and preservation county to residential urban and preservation city at Block 9, Lot 18 of West Oldsmar, Section Number 1, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 11, second and final reading and public hearing of ordinance 2015-09, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, rezoning certain real property described as lots 18, 19, and 20 of Block 9, West Oldsmar Section 1, parcel number 22, 28, 16, 9666000900180, containing approximately 0.69 acres, is further described in Exhibit A, from county zoning designation of agricultural estate residential to the city zoning designation of R2 residential single family and preservation, and providing for the effective date. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2015-09 by title only.
Thank you. This again is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. I need a motion.
Move.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sidel?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2015-09, rezoning from agricultural estate county to R2 and preservation city at Block 9, Lot 18 of West Oldsmar Section No. 1, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 12, second and final reading and public hearing of ordinance 2015-10, an ordinance of the city of Oldsmar amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city by amending the land use designation on that certain real property described as Lot 2 of Block 9 of West Oldsmar Section 1, parcel number 22, 28, 16, 96660009020, containing approximately 0.34 acres, is further described in Exhibit A, from the county land use designation of residential low to the city land use designation of residential urban, and providing for an effective date. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2015-10 by title only.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody wish to address this item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sidel?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2015-10, land use plan amendment from residential low county to residential urban city at Block 9, Lot 2 of West Oldsmar Section No. 1, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 13 on your agenda is the second final reading and public hearing of ordinance 2015-11, no ordinance of the city of Oldsmar, Florida, rezoning certain real property described as Lot 2 of Block 9 of West Oldsmar Section 1, parcel number 22, 28, 16, 96660009020, containing approximately 0.34 acres, as further described in Exhibit A, from the county zoning designation of R3, single-family residential, to the city zoning designation of R2, residential single-family, and providing for the effective date. That was the second and final reading of ordinance 2015-11 by title only.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sidel?
This is a tough one. Yes.
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2015-11, rezoning from R3 County to R2 City at Block 9, Lot 2 of West Oldsmar Section No. 1, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 14, second and final reading and public hearing of ordinance 2015-12, an ordinance of the city of Oldsmar, Florida, setting the general election date of March 15, 2016, and providing for the effective date. That was a reading of ordinance 2015-12 by title only.
This also is a second reading and a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. Need a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sidel?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
More
And then
campaigning.
final reading of ordinance 2015-12, changing the 2016 Oldsmar Municipal Election date to March 15, 2016, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 15, ordinance 2015-13, an ordinance of the city of Oldsmar, Florida, amending section 3.11 of the Land Development Code pertaining to the Technical Review Committee, correcting the number of committee members, revising references to the city engineer, fire chief, community development director, and director, Parks and Recreation, revising the term chairman and vice chairman to general neutral terms, providing for the power and duty to consider requests to reduce one of the front yard setbacks for corner residential lots, providing for a review procedure and standards for approval, and providing an effective date hereof. That was a reading of ordinance 2015-13 by title only.
Does staff wish to add anything to this?
No, staff's recommending approval.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item? Hearing no one, will close the public hearing. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Seidel.
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki.
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee.
Yes.
Councilmember Norris.
Yes.
Mayor Beavis. First reading of ordinance 2015-13, amending the Land Development Code to authorize a technical review committee to approve certain variances on corner lots is approved with 5 votes for and 0 against.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item, authorize participation in the Florida Water and Wastewater Agency Response Network. This is an agreement to authorize our participation in a mutual aid agreement with other municipalities in Florida related to water and wastewater utilities in the event of an emergency, whether it's a natural disaster or some other type of event. We could utilize the network for assistance if we needed them, and vice versa. We would send our folks to help others if the need arose and we were requested. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. I recommend that you approve and authorize participation in the Florida Water and Wastewater Agency Response Network.
Any questions on this? How many people participate, or how many municipalities participate in this?
I'm not sure. Lisa might know if...
Is this something fairly new?
Lisa Ray, Director of Public Works. This is relatively new. It's maybe 10 years, 12 years old. And I don't know the exact number statewide that participate, but Dunedin, Clearwater, Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, quite a few of the local municipalities do participate.
Oh, good, okay. For some reason, it seems weird. I would think that that would just be a natural occurrence, but I guess it's not.
Well, it's funded through a grant from the EPA, and because when you have disasters that occur in utilities, and it's managed by Florida Department of Environmental Protection, but they cause a lot of environmental problems as well if you have wastewater treatment plants that overflowed. And there's a lot of specialized skills that go along with it. And we're required to have licenses in order to be able to run these plants, and the other people that have those are municipalities as well. So in order to be able to get the skilled staff that have the appropriate licenses, they're really expanding the program and starting to push it more.
Good. That sounds like a positive thing. Thank you. Any questions, staff?
No, I think it's interesting that it's new. It's 10 years old, but it's fairly new.
Well, all things considered, that is relatively new, and it takes a while to get things going and really catch on. To be honest, I thought we were already members when I attended a meeting a little while ago, but then I found out we weren't. So that's when I approached Bruce about it, and Tom reviewed it, and we just talked to Dean, and we decided to move forward with it.
Is there another tool, as you said, that another cooperative that exists that other people are part of, or is this?
This is the only one, yeah. It's kind of an offshoot. There is a program through DEP where we have to go in, it's Storm Tracker, where we have to go in whenever there's an event and report the status of our treatment plants. If they're in operation, are we on generator, or do we have any places out of service? Do we have any sanitary sewer overflows? That's completely separate from the EOC, and we're required to do that. And so a lot of the same municipalities that are required to participate in that are now starting to join this, because it just kind of goes hand in hand.
Good, sounds good. If there's no other questions, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 17, approve renewals for employee health, dental, and life insurance. The employee benefit coverages run on the city's fiscal year, which begins on October 1. And tonight I'm requesting that you authorize renewal of our contract with the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust. We are in the second year of a three-year agreement with the FMIT for health insurance administered through United Healthcare. I know you're familiar with the Wellness Center. That's a cooperative effort of the Florida League of Cities, the City of Tarpon Springs, and ourselves. The benefits in the new year will remain the same. There was a summary included in the packet prepared by the Gehring Group, who is our broker and consultant for employee benefits. I think the most significant factor is that in the coming year, there's no increase in premiums, which,
That's huge.
well, I don't really remember the last time that happened. So that's, of course, a benefit to us as the employer, but employees pay for their own dependent coverage if they choose that option. So, of course, they will also benefit from having no increase in the premium for that as well. So that's definitely a plus. I think the Wellness Center has contributed to that effort. And we've also been fortunate enough to have fairly good claims experience for the past year, and hopefully that would continue as well. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. The medical insurance is through the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust. The dental and life insurance is through the standard. And those are the same carriers that we would be renewing with.
Any questions? I guess I just have one, and not really a question. I'm trying to recall when we did the ribbon cutting, I thought there was some discussion, I can't remember if it was Safety Harbor, but we had talked that maybe that the Wellness Center might be able to be expanded to other North County municipalities, or am I out on the
Well,
brain
that's
cell
not, I guess, not a dead topic. The City of Safety Harbor participates in a pool for health insurance, but it's not the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust, it's another one. They would probably be our most likely partner, but unless or until they would choose to join through the league's insurance program, they would not.
Okay, I just remember there was some discussion about the opportunity to expand.
Some of them actually came to the ribbon cutting as well.
Right. Okay.
I mean, it could happen someday, I just don't
See it
think
right.
it's on the near horizon.
Sure. Any other questions? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item, authorize the city attorney to prepare an ordinance annexing FDOT property located south of Tampa Road and east of Eastlake Oaks. This is an enclave owned by DOT, completely surrounded by the city. So, of course, there's nothing related to property taxes or any other income the city would receive, but it would eliminate an enclave that's been around for quite a few years. The DOT has acknowledged or given their consent to the annexation, and we also have a recommendation from the Planning Board to support of the annexation. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those tonight. I recommend that you authorize the city attorney to prepare an ordinance annexing, it's actually two parcels, I mean, they're contiguous. It's a stormwater pond located between the Eastlake Oaks subdivision and the Aberdeen at Forest Lakes apartment complex.
Okay. Any discussion on this item from anyone? More of a housekeeping measure. Is there some discussion about ever being able to utilize any of that DOT property for anything for city benefit?
Well,
It's pretty swampy.
But stormwater-wise, or expanding it stormwater-wise, or, I know you and I had driven back in there sometime about a transit hub and all kinds of stuff, so.
I rode around with you back there.
Is that where you took me off-roading?
Probably, yeah. I mean, yes, it probably is, yeah. Well, we actually own the property to the north and the south.
Right.
And the south, we sometimes refer to that as the Moccasin Creek Park property. The trail does go through part of that currently. I don't think you see any of the trail. So basically, you have this DOT property in between. The stormwater pond, I don't think that's ever going to go anywhere, but somewhere down the road, if Moccasin Creek, if that were to be developed as a park or some additional, well, like I said, the trail goes through there, but there's no active uses. Potentially, maybe this DOT stormwater pond could be incorporated into a park, as an example. So it could be a compatible use.
I think that was kind of the discussion we had back then about that whole kind of general area and the thought for what it could be. So, any other discussion on this? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. City Clerk?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight. Next is the city council. First item is excuse the absence of Vice Mayor McGee for the upcoming September 3rd meeting. No discussion, I need a motion. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0, thank you. Next is comments by council members, and we'll start with Councilmember Sareki.
Oh, I knew I was going first. I really don't have much tonight. I'm still recovering from the weekend,
The conference.
the conference. The Florida League of Cities did an amazing job. I was completely blown away by the classes, the education. It was an amazing opportunity for me, and I'm so thankful to Bruce and the city of Oldsmar for that opportunity to go. I don't even know how to explain how amazing it was.
Even the voting delegate thing was amazing?
How was
At
that?
7 o'clock in the
How was
morning.
It was a
that?
setup.
Did you make any friends with any of the other?
Yeah, well, you know what's funny?
spokesmen?
There were actually other council members there from other cities that never got an opportunity to go. One girl was there for 8 years, and she never got an opportunity to go. And like, for me, it was my first
Oh, we like to
chance.
honor people.
Hazing.
We like to honor people their first year. If you liked it so much, you know, if you get on council
can
again,
go for the next
you can
8
go
years.
again. Yeah.
I'm sure you want me to do that.
You can become an alumni if you would like.
They make such a big deal out of it. You get these,
Really good job at it, too.
Oh,
I was
you don't-
horrible at it when I did it.
you don't do
Yeah.
anything.
How did that gentleman that ran unopposed get elected? The second vice president?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It turned out good. Huh?
But it went really quick. I mean, it was like, leave the card, before you leave your voting cards on your chair and go. So it was like, you didn't get a chance to vote or anything. It was just, you go.
It took you longer to get from your hotel room to the room than it did to vote, right?
Exactly.
Yes. It's the way we wanted it.
So that was a learning experience. Then I also went to the luncheon. I'm thinking about, did anyone else go to luncheon?
The previous president's
Yeah, the
luncheon?
previous,
No.
that was actually really well done. Dick Greco, the previous mayor of the city of Tampa, was there. Him and his wife are actually one of our customers, our clients. So I got an opportunity to spend some time with him and his wife, which worked out great. But that was very interesting. They went all the way back to all the presidents. They had a big slideshow of all the past presidents.
That's why it's called the past president's lunch.
Yeah.
Is that why they did that there?
Yeah.
The past
The
president?
only thing is we had steak again. They had filet mignon. I was like, can we have fish?
You better eat some veggies the next
I know,
morning.
I'm done with red meat. But and then the Uber class, that was really, really interesting.
Yeah, the Uber, Lyft, and Air.
Sharing.
That was the best one,
Yeah.
I thought.
It was interesting on a lot of levels, and matter of fact, again, at the PSTA meeting, they were talking with Brad about, you know, the Uber and same with Airbnb, you know, and I think you summed it up best, Eric, at the end of that session that we were in, that these things they're there and they're not going away and probably going to have offspring of other ones. So we need to figure out, you know, how to regulate them and deal with them, because I think they're a great alternative.
And the
if done
young
right.
generation is really changing the way we thought when we were their age. A lot of them don't want to have cars anymore.
No, they don't.
They don't want to pay for car insurance. They want to use Uber to get around, to go to school, restaurants, meet their friends and go home. They don't want to have a car. So that was really,
And
really
mass transit,
interesting.
they want that and mass transit to be able to help.
Yep.
And the PSTA is trying to, you know, figure out what the relationship is between Uber and,
Future, you won't own a car, you'll own access to
yeah,
a car,
yeah,
which is kind of.
yeah, it'll be like a timeshare.
The shared economy.
Yeah, it'll be a shared economy.
Yeah.
and-
I'll have sold our
Other side
company
of
long
it,
before
on
then.
the other side of it, for those of us that are business owners that pay for licenses, that pay for insurance, that cover our
Sure.
clients, it's not fair to compete against a company
That
that doesn't
play
have
by
to
the
do
rules.
that, because you can't compete. So, but they're starting
disruptive,
to, they're
know
starting
what?
to talk about, this is what we need to do. It's still gonna end up being cheaper.
Yeah, I
So
mean, at
people
the
are
end
still
of the
gonna use
day,
Uber and Lyft, but they have to be regulated.
Yeah, and I think that was the
at the end of the day, it's what the citizens want. And so when that driving economic factor exists and the technology exists, it's disruptive technology. And while my heart goes out to those who have built a business and go through the licensing and do it the way that it's always been done, you know, those guys who sold those horse buggy whips, I mean, you know, they're still smarting from it. I mean, it's probably going to change, and they're going to have to adapt.
They will have to adapt, but I'll tell you one thing, it'll be national news the first time somebody gets killed in one of those and there's no insurance to cover it. Then everybody's gonna change their tune about making sure that everything gets
And then they'll
regulated.
adapt.
Right.
The only mistake I made that whole weekend was using valet parking.
Why?
Mayor told me, go move your car, go move your car. And I'm like, it was a class, I had to be here, so I blew it off. When I went home Sunday, I waited almost an hour to get my car. It was a nightmare.
I was already
That's
halfway
why
home.
you get a late checkout, Dan. This is your first conference. We need to
So,
teach you a few
I'm
things.
never using valet parking again at the hotel, and take my advice. And that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Sedell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have some items. Kudos once again to our finance team on recognition for the budget award. That is so important that they go that extra mile, go through that process. It's a step above and beyond because it's complete transparency for our citizens. When they go that extra mile, I mean, it's like it's going beyond an audit. It says a lot about the caliber of the way we do things, and the whole team should be really commended for it. I think it's terrific. The league, Dan touched on it. I've been to a few, and this was by far the best one. It was exciting, not only that all 5 of us and the city manager was there, we all went to classes and really were engaged in they had such great content in those classes. I know Bruce and I were in economic development, from how to help entrepreneurs, how to help existing business owners in your city, a variety of different tools, and the one that we were talking about earlier. There was just a lot of good. I have
Facebook.
Facebook one on social media where they actually had someone from Facebook who came out from California. And it was really of value to be there.
We felt rude because we were all posting and texting and posting.
Yeah, I put a comment
all he's
like,
talking, and we're like,
I'm like, I feel odd about this. I'm posting on Facebook by listening to a speaker from Facebook. So weird. But one other thing, if you all are interested, I stayed for like the very last class it wasn't a class. It was a showcase on the new technologies where the league went and they boiled down all the new providers out there down to what they thought were the 9 best, most promising. And I actually went to it because I am pretty much a geek when it comes to that. But I was going to put a link to each one and just send it out to the council if you have an interest in looking. There's some pretty interesting things that might be of some value to us. And some of it we probably saw in class, but it was a good summary of it. Oktoberfest, up and coming. Some of us were at the, right before we left to go over to the league meeting. I know Dan was over there. A couple of us went to the Chamber's legislative luncheon. That was last Wednesday. And Sandy Grimes, who is overseeing some of the part of Oktoberfest and recruitment of teams, and she is over some of the beer concession groups, and started talking and thought it would be kind of fun if we as a council agreed to be a team and take a shift as a council. And so I don't know how everyone feels about that. She did get back to Deb today, and basically she has 2 available slots if we're interested. One would be Saturday, the 24th. The time slot that we would need to take, the shift, would be from 11 to 5. And this is, bring your spouse or significant other or family, whatever. We all, if you've ever worked those beer booths, you know that there's plenty for everyone to do. So I'm told. The other would either that on Saturday from 11 to 5, which would be my recommendation, or Sunday on the 25th, which is from 12:30 to 7 p.m.
Now, is that the September?
Oktoberfest, it's in
Oh,
October.
Oktoberfest. okay.
Yeah, they put the Oktoberfest in October.
Got
They
it.
do, yeah. They tried it in September and it just doesn't have the same zing.
That's 6
I
hours.
would go
Yeah,
for the
it's a long
Saturday.
shift, it's the way they have them now.
Yeah, that's it. I'm there all weekend.
To have all of us like work the booth
Yeah,
at
we
the
work,
same
we
time?
take over,
You're an issue
and
then, with all
I'll
these being
I'll
here.
be the
Okay,
shift
I think so.
manager of.
With all of us in
But
one spot.
we need to let them know because they're feeling she's holding those 2 shifts for our,
I mean, I like
because that
Saturday.
fills up first.
I like I'm there all weekend
I don't want to
anyway.
do Sunday.
I can't do Sunday because
can't either,
the
really.
U.S. Women's World Cup team is coming to play in Orlando City against Brazil.
Oh,
on
that'd be
Sunday.
cool.
Right.
They just added that to their
So is that a
tour.
yes?
And I've got I got
Tickets
season
go on sale
tickets, so I don't know
Friday
if there's a
if
home
anyone
game because I don't have them loaded into my thing, but I'd rather do Saturday.
Well, that'd be good.
Saturday?
Saturday's fine.
Yes?
Yeah.
Saturday, yes?
Yes.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm
Saturday.
Yeah, let's do
I'm
it.
there all weekend, so.
All right, well then I'll tell them
Saturday
Saturday we're in. And then tomorrow I had a scheduling conflict with that. There was some budget meeting that we had on the same time that I was supposed to do the firefighter thing, so I'm reporting for duty at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Yay!
Oh, boy.
So please don't have any big emergencies
Oh, man,
tomorrow.
I'm buzzing
Oh, you want them to, it's more fun.
Yeah.
And the last thing I had
Set my neighbor's house on fire.
was, the last thing I had was, yesterday was Ann's birthday. So happy
Aww.
birthday. And that's it,
Beat
Mr.
you to the punch,
I
Gabby.
know.
Aw.
Mayor.
You took away from Gabby, though.
He'll learn.
You took away from Gabby.
He'll learn.
Councilmember Norris.
I got a couple things too, and I'm not going to add anything other than I agree with everything everybody said, that it was awesome, and even the dinners that we all got to go to, because we do so many official things together. We don't do a lot of social things together because we just don't have time. So it was really nice being able to sit and talk to Gabby for an hour, talk to her, I mean, just sitting, talking to people for like an hour where we don't have that. So I wanted to add that. And the pyramid was my favorite thing. I don't know if y'all saw our pyramid on Facebook, but the 3 men were at the bottom and me and Gabby were at the top, like, little cheerleaders or whatever. But that was really fun, so.
Right in the middle of the hallway of the conference, we did it, in front of everybody.
And the official photographer was taking pictures and stuff, because I don't think there was a lot of entire councils and city managers. I saw a couple were missing from Tampa. St. Pete only had a couple. I didn't see any other cities that had every single member plus the city manager, so I don't know if that's.
Bruce was there and was team support. We tried to get him at the very top of the pyramid. I draw the line somewhere.
As the flyer? Was he going to be the flyer?
Is that your idea, Linda? It was your idea.
No, it was Gabby's idea.
I always want to do a pyramid.
That was a
I've
good
never
idea.
been able to convince anyone.
Fair.
So that was really fun. So I won't say anything about that. I'm going to talk about chickens and trees just for a second. I know y'all probably saw the thing about the chickens that have the West Nile, and I know the mayor had mentioned it in the mayor's minute. But definitely everybody wants to make sure that they empty out any kind of, things that have any standing water or anything, because I went online to see what the symptoms were and everything else, and it's, you don't want to get it. So everybody just, check and make sure you do that. So just seconding what the mayor had already said on the last one. And then the environmental center, if y'all haven't gone on Oldsmar Connect, Jeff's site, you definitely want to go on there and read about the environmental center that just opened, because I did not know that it was completely built by staff.
Majority.
Because I saw, like, somebody who was doing stucco wasn't staff, was it? I was there one Saturday, and some people that
I don't
I
think
didn't
that
recognize.
Was it? No.
I would say probably 90% was probably
90%,
staff.
but that's awesome, because I didn't know that, because the times I had visited, it looked more like contractors than staff. So to have staff build 90% of it, to have our first solar panels on a municipality, or a municipal building, it's just awesome. So everybody needs to go and check that out. And then, just in reference to an email that we got from a resident about a giant oak tree that might have to come down due to somebody building a house, I wanted to I talked to Bruce about this today, and I know that Janice, this was a passion of Janice's too. I wanted to see if there was anything that we could do to make it to where we can protect some of these large, granddaddy oaks or the large laurel oaks, or have some kind of harder process to go through than you want to cut it down because you want to put a house there. And that's, that I don't think that's enough to cut down that kind of a tree. So I don't know if there's something that we can put into place that could make it a little bit more difficult to cut down these huge trees, because we are a city of parks.
I thought
so.
there is stuff in place to protect protect grand oaks and things like that.
Is
unless they're
there,
rotted.
Tom? Because Bruce and I talked about it and we weren't sure.
I don't know if any of the cities that we represent do, but I have heard of ordinances that cities put in place that protect trees like that. So I can do a little bit of research on it. And,
Is that okay? I can ask Tom to do that? Yes?
It's up to your,
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to make sure, I don't know that, I saw the email and I don't know, is that, I had heard that tree was not healthy and that there was a problem with it.
Well, even if that's true on this particular tree, not
Right.
having anything in place in the city of Parks to protect some beautiful, beautiful, huge trees and just making it to the ordinances, oh, if it's in the way of your house, go ahead and cut it down. That's not good, I don't think. I think that's
Well, I
not.
think you run the risk sometime, and I don't discount what you're saying, and I agree to a certain extent. I do worry about homeowner and property rights. When someone buys a property, when they have a vision of today, tomorrow, and growing and staying here in Oldsmar, I don't know, it gets kind of dicey a little bit, I think, when you start to say what you can and can't do with your own property.
Well, I think that it just needs to be a little bit harder, and I'm not saying that if there's a huge tree in the middle of $1 million property on the bay, that you can't, obviously, that's gonna have to go if you're gonna build a $1 million mansion on the bay, okay, I get that. But if it's on the outskirts and it's just, all they'd have to do is move their house over a little bit, or, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think that we definitely need to look into what we can do to make it a little bit more difficult to cut some of these great trees down.
I mean, I tend to agree with Eric, to get into, people's rights of what they can do and not do without their property. But I also hear what you're saying, that, let's just not go chainsaw crazy because you want to do something different,
Some balance.
the balance, and I caution, where we go with this, because all you got to do is look across the bridge at Safety Harbor, and they have a mess with trees and ordinances, if I'm not, am I correct on that? That's.
hopefully they're,
They have beautiful trees.
they're coming out of
Sorry.
the, on the other side of the valley, hopefully, in their case. But the particular incident, I think, Maria, it's on Shore Drive East. You might have some more knowledge about the particular case and the property in question.
Yes, that property owner that requested the tree to be removed came in and, requested a tree removal permit. And code enforcement was unsure whether it should be removed, so he had an arborist look at it. And then he had another arborist from Safety Harbor look at it, and then a third arborist. So there was three that all, unanimously said that the tree was diseased. And, there was a chance it could have fallen over on the neighboring property. So it wasn't like they just wanted to cut it down. They were, concerned that maybe if it fell on the neighbor's property or hit their house, then they would be liable. So they had three arborists, and we told the property owner that they'd have to replace it with two canopy trees.
Okay, so in this case, I think that they went through enough, and I think that if it's disease, then this homeowner should, I agree with that. But I still think that being the city of Parks, we should have something, all I'm asking is for Tom to look into it to see.
Adds new trees when we tear trees down. However, I think the biggest complaint from our neighbors and what we've seen downtown and what Janice's complaint was that they're not getting added back where the trees were removed. And yes, there's old root systems and things of that nature, but even today I was literally thinking this because it was a gazillion degrees outside. I was walking my dog and there was no shade on our block now anymore because we've had probably 4, now they were dying or diseased oaks taken down, and it's 1,000 degrees when you're just trying to walk around the corner to, walk your dog, and it takes away from that charm and the shade, and, you can't, it's so hot you can't grow anything.
And I think
so.
the discussion is that that's a really fine line, because you've got, a lot of utilities that have weaved their way in
But there
over
are
the years.
places,
Sure.
and they don't have to be big oaks. And I remember talking to Janice when she was still here about how I had wanted to get this beautiful orchid tree, but it would be planting on the city right away. And this is on council. And I said, I emailed Lynn about it, but he didn't think it was a good idea. And she goes, "Honey, just plant the thing and ask for forgiveness." And I never ended up planting it. But if I had, I might have a nice little shade there. And
While you're up there, that gray bark, 2 houses down, 3 houses down from Jim Roniker, those 2 huge oaks they cut down yesterday morning, I tried to get it stopped, but I guess Rick approved that. Do you know about that permit?
That was yesterday morning.
Jim Roniker was here for dinner tonight, and he was like, couldn't believe they cut those trees down. Now, the one on the right side of the house, because of the driveway, I could understand that, but the one in the front yard, that one was gorgeous.
Well, usually Rick does have an arborist go out because obviously he's not a tree person, so.
Okay.
And we always advise the property owner they have to replace, with 2 trees, whatever they cut down. So.
But it's still different. I mean, it's going to take 30 years for those 2 trees to get to the height of these trees that you're talking about that have shade.
Well, these trees were 20 years old. I mean, my oaks
Okay,
are
so
20
it's
years old,
going
and
to
they're
take 20
beautiful
years
now.
to get to that point. We
Right,
don't
so
want to
these-
turn into the Largo and all these other towns that you can't find a place
Yeah.
to get under a tree if you want to drive and make some, pull over. You can't. And we don't want to be that city. We want to continue to be the beautiful city. So I think that
I think, as Eric said, it's a balance. There was
but I think that we should look into it because I think it's important.
Yeah, there was a house, because another thing was that house that you're talking about, and, we'll let this go, but over by the elementary school, I can't remember the house, but, they tried to save the tree, but instead they wound up root pruning, which took away all the strength of the tree's ability to stand, and, one good wind, and it just tipped over because they pruned it so tight that, yeah, it looked great, and it saved it for a while, but the first storm, and it fell right over, almost on the house. It's over there by, the Chestnut and your street. Right there. Yeah, I think. There was a yellow house in the back. Anyway, it was this far from falling on the house. It fell on 2 sheds, and so it's a fine balance.
Right.
It's like, okay, we'll leave the tree and we'll root prune, and then next thing you know, it falls on your house. So
100 years from now, these trees that we plant are going to be just as beautiful as these. But I think the biggest thing from neighbors was just that they want to see trees go back within the similar area of where they were. And I think it's important too. Yeah. So, I wouldn't be opposed to looking at that further because that's been an ongoing discussion.
What's interesting, and I was thinking of this the other day as I was driving Tampa Road, hasn't been that long that we planted those trees at the median along Tampa Road, and in 10 years, that's going to be a beautiful drive down Tampa Road. So it takes time and it's a process, but as long as we're putting trees back, I think that's good. Who was I on? You?
Yep. Happy birthday, Ian. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Happy birthday, Ann. I was going to say happy birthday to Ann and my dad. I think a lot of people know my dad just because when I was campaigning, he was my biggest advocate going door to door. So it was his birthday also. Happy Labor Day, just because I'll be absent for the September 3rd meeting. Thank you for that. I'll be at Vegas for Cisco Conference. And one thing I did want to mention, I mentioned this to Linda, was at the Florida League Conference that former mayor of the city of Waldo got the award, like a Lifetime Achievement Award, and I thought we should really nominate Jerry for something like that. I don't know if a past mayor, someone that's not on council, can attend and receive that award, and I didn't know how we go about doing that, but when I'm listening to his accomplishments and I'm thinking about Jerry, and I thought that would be a really neat way to honor Jerry if he got this kind of Florida Lifetime Achievement Award. So just wanted to plant the seed on that so we could think about that maybe for next year. And the neat thing about the conference too is when you go, you hear about cities that you've never heard of before. So every time we'd stand up and say, I'm Gabby McGee with the city of Oldsmar, I'd immediately tell them where Oldsmar was because they'd be like, I was wondering where that was because, they say their city name and we've never heard of them, like the city of Waldo I've never heard of. And then, just a quick reminder, October 21st is going to be the Historic Preservation Summit. We're still finalizing the agenda. It's going to be in Tico Hall. It's during the week, and we're also thinking about getting Hoffman Architects that helped restore this building from Tarpon Springs to come out and present as part of that summit and talk about the restoration here of this building. And Marie, we might need you for that. Jerry wanted me to ask you to talk a little bit for that. And I think that's all I have.
I don't have a lot. Again, happy birthday, Ann. And I want to thank Kathy for all her hard work on the packet.
Yeah.
Yes.
We take it for granted, but you do an excellent job, and it makes it so much easier when we go over there, and everything's in its place. And again, I said this tonight, when we're talking to other municipalities, and they're scrambling to find their stuff and their reservation and what their schedule is, and we have a packet, and I think tonight the consensus was that this was one of the best. I'm not sure what the word is, but informational, I guess, is probably the word. And I don't know if we can share that. I don't know who the connection is, but I don't know if they ask for feedback, but I'd like to ask that we share that with them, that, all 5 council members went, and that we all, I think, not everyone was a home run, because a lot of them, I mentioned this earlier, a lot of them repeat because you get new council members. But I think they raised the bar with some of the new technology things that they were bringing forward to cities. And so I think they really stepped up their game, and I'd like to let them know about that. Nothing really major. I keep popping in over at the Hotel Lynn Reeves over there at the BMX track and seeing, and we saw the schedule today that he has really spelled it out to the contractor. And when I was over there last week, I think Lynn, kind of indicated that he was kind of having to, prod the contractor to, why don't you do this? Why don't, basically being the contractor and doing that, but it's kind of all spelled out. The bleachers are going in and if you can stick to that schedule, it's first part of September, I think?
Be completed September 18th.
If everything, Lord willing, the creek don't rise, huh?
And do we
It doesn't rain.
know when we're gonna be doing the ribbon cutting and stuff? Because I think I had emailed Ann or Kathy about this. I just want to make sure I'm in town.
I don't think we had one, but I assume it's gonna be somewhere around the BMX track event.
Yeah, I know when that'll occur.
Just want to make sure I get.
It's October, just a minute I can tell you.
Is it in conjunction with the Gator Nationals?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to go down the hill on my bike.
Well, there's also going to be entertainment. There'll be a public grand opening on Thursday, October 15th. And then there'll be VIP ribbon cutting at 4:30 on Friday, October 16th. Race starts at 5 o'clock, Friday, October 16th.
Do we have an email about those? Could you send those to us?
Or if they can just be
We
put
can
on
send
our,
it to you, sure.
put on our calendar.
I'm pretty sure you don't
calendar.
have one because we just went over that this morning.
Oh, okay.
I literally just
Oh, okay.
RSVP'd to a wedding that's.
I already have it bookmarked.
And,
To change that.
and
So
Mayor,
it's
I'm
October
Saved my
15th
life
and
just so you
16th.
know.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Anybody else have anything? Tom?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I forgot a real quick update on the art project. I know.
I'm sorry, too bad.
I know.
Go ahead.
I want Gabby here, and she's not going to be at the next one.
That's fine. Actually, I was kind of curious where we're at.
Yeah,
with
okay. So the summertime, they had, traveling to do, and they had different things that they had to do. So now we're really buckling down. Anthony's project, which is the glow-in-the-dark bench and rails on the pier, he just started graduate school. So we've got that set up to where he's going to do that on his first week of spring break, or Christmas break, which is the first week of December. So we're going to get Lynn to get all the materials because we have the list so that we could have everything all set for him so that can get done in December, which is in plenty of time for the centennial, because I've told them both that they're nothing else. Everything has to be done for the centennial. Sierra has completed the first model of the bench. She's completed most of the models of the leaves for the flower trees, but due to weather and her having to do it. She's not a student at USF anymore, so she can't use a studio. So she's having to do it at her apartment. And so she's running a little behind, but she's thinking in about a week she's going to be able to have them completed and painted so that we can see the models, so that then we can say, okay, we like that, and then we can go forward. Since she doesn't have a studio, I'm going to contact Dr. Wallace and ask for studio space at USF, because there's no way she can construct these in her apartment. And so we're going to work out something with USF. So everything seems to be on track. Everything, you got to kind of keep on them a little bit, but they're artists. So, so that's it. Thank you.
And actually, I think it's kind of neat, and I think we all got the post that one of the artists that has the artwork at City Hall is up for an award, one of the selected artists for the, what is it, the TBT, Best in the Bay?
Oh, nice.
That's her art, she's one of the artists, so I think Deb sent out a link to vote for her with her name, so, but that's the artist that's got the art in City Hall. I thought this was kind of neat, everybody saw it, but you can't really see it on TV, but it made the Beacon the 8-in-1 ribbon cutting, so it's kind of neat. I think we're going to try and get a copy of this or the PDF to all the businesses, because I mean, I think that was really neat, and they appreciated, I mentioned this before, that they appreciated the city kind of not forgetting about existing businesses that are in the area. So, and I think that's important to us and to show that we are connected with the businesses. So if there's nothing else, Ann, do you have anything?
One more
Kathy?
thing. I
One
forgot
more
to
thing.
mention-
Oh, not the only one. Thank you, Dan.
My wife Paula wanted to tell you guys, thank you so much. She really enjoyed talking with all you guys this weekend.
Oh, I had a
Paula
great
really
time with
enjoyed
Paula.
it. Gabby, Linda, Eric, she really had a lot of fun.
And she did not lose Jenga.
Yeah.
You and the mayor did.
Yeah, we lost the Jenga.
Jenga.
Once, you lost twice.
Nothing else. Adjourn.